Okay, so step onto the pitch with Chris Batchelder, a seasoned coach who's dedicated over two decades to shaping young soccer talents, from grassroots to varsity, boys to girls. He's seen it all. Join us as we dive into the world of coaching with someone who breathes, lives, and loves soccer. Get ready to learn, grow, and be inspired by his passion for the beautiful game, fueled by resilience and unwavering commitment to excellence. Coach Chris, thank you for being here with us.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity and the time just to talk soccer. So
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's always a good day to talk about soccer, right?
that's right.
Uh, so can you tell us a little bit about your background? How'd you get into soccer?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I started since I could pretty much walk. I was 3, 4 years old. I had a soccer ball with me at all times, and my parents got us into it probably because we had a choice between baseball and soccer, and I was like,
Okay.
I'm kind of afraid of that little ball, so it didn't work out that way. And then we got into club play in Petoskey, Michigan. It's at that time it was pretty small, but then clubs became big. Uh, once it here we are. Once it became big, then it became our lives, and then that's what we did. Year-round soccer. Just kind of fell in love with the idea of it because soccer is never it's a puzzle piece at all times.
Right, of course. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I always use the motion of like that coach is playing checkers and I'm playing chess. You know what I mean? Because it's a complicated thing. It's not like we don't sit here and we not dogging any other sports, but we don't sit here with one play at a time. Where everybody knows that we sit here with everything going on. So that became very interesting to me because it's very challenging and I enjoy challenges. So that is where I kind of started. I coached or I played all the way until through high school, and then I sorry about that.
Nah, you're good. It's all right.
Then I got into coaching right away after high school. I started off with a U19 team, which
Oh,
I
wow.
advise I advise
Right.
any coaches never to start with a U19 team, especially if it's your younger brother's team.
Oh, okay. That makes it a little
So
bit.
yeah, so I mean, it was one of those things where the coach who's currently there was kind of past his. All right, these kids are a little above my pay grade and my scale,
Okay.
and I was like, well, I just got done playing, so let's go have some fun, and then I fell in love with it. And I've been coaching ever since, on and off. I have, I have 4 kids total. The first one didn't really jump into it, but the other 3 are going to be in it. I have a varsity freshman right now that's actually a goalie. Um, and I got a 6-year-old and 1.5-year-old, and you should see this 1.5-year-old dribble a soccer ball up and down. So
Oh, wow. So are you coaching them as well or not yet?
not yet, not yet. I mean, he sees his sisters play soccer, and
Good
yeah,
for
I'll have
you.
to share it one time. I'll have to share a video with him. I would just with you. I would just dribbles all the time, and I'm like, dude, you're a year and a half. What are you doing? So it's good times, but it's in our blood. It's in our family. Um, there's there's no question about it. So it's hard not to love it. So
Okay. So I have a question because you say you live in Michigan, right? And you
yep.
say you play year round. How is that? Because I know Michigan is a little cold. There's no, how do you guys play uh in the winter or the cold months?
So I mean, we just unfortunately you go in the gym is what you do.
Oh, okay, so you
Well,
do like indoor?
yep. So a lot of like we're about 2 hours away from Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is a place where they got indoor facilities where they play right on. They play year round on I guess turf, but you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
Up here we got some gyms, so we kind of make that work and we do the best we can. I'm going to introduce this little Benzonia area where I'm coaching to a little bit of futsal this winter. They
Oh,
don't
wow.
really know
Okay.
about it yet, so we're going to kind of get that going. So any opportunity we can. So that's kind of what we do. We do a lot of workout, a lot of training, a lot of soccer talking. So
So you mentioned that you go Grand Rapids is 2 hours away from you. Do you guys travel in the winter to play over there, or is just
no, no, not necessarily. This area is very small.
okay?
Petoskey was bigger, but I moved here. We're about an hour and a half away from Petoskey now.
Okay.
So I moved here about 10, 12 years ago. Um, so we're a little bit smaller. We're just kind of creating honestly, what Petoskey had when I was a kid. So
Oh, okay.
it's kind of cool because when we get to the point where we want to get, it's going to be very rewarding for myself. Um, and it's not even about me at all. It's going to be weird because I'm going to look at it saying like, this is what I was when I was growing up, and look, this is what we're doing again. And it's just a different area. And I'm looking forward to that opportunity.
It's changed so much, right? From I'm assuming from when you were playing to like nowadays, it's
Oh
gotten
yeah.
so much, right? Or is
Oh, I mean, when I started playing when I was 5, 6 years old, when I
Mhm.
played on an organization team, it was 11v11. Now,
What?
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's how it was back then. So
Oh
it
wow.
was
Okay.
11v11, and we played. I can remember playing on the U10 team, and all these little boys out there trying to kick the ball. And like, there's games where I didn't even touch the ball. I played defense. I didn't even touch the ball. Like, hey, good game. What did I do? I just ran around out there. I didn't even touch the ball. And and not too long ago, U.S. Soccer kind of stepped in and said, "Hold on, we got to catch up with the rest of the world
Right.
with our soccer, and let's switch the mold." And they switched it to 4v4 and 5v5 and 7v7, 9v9, now 11v11. And one thing I really commend them on is the headers, and not allowing them to do that until they're older, which is fantastic. Because I can remember when I was 7 years old doing training and heading the ball, going home with the worst headache in the world. And I tell my coach
Yo.
about it, and he'd be like, "Oh, you headed the ball wrong." No, no, we're 7 years old, man. We had the ball wrong. But it's yeah, the game has changed so much. Um, I mean, back then it was pass, pass, pass. Let's work on
Mhm.
passing. That's our important, which is good. Don't get me wrong. But
Right,
now
right.
they've changed it to like individual dribbling and touches with. I mean, the first 20 minutes of my session, we're touching the ball, we're dribbling, we're getting our comfortable, because you don't want to be that player on the field where you can't necessarily, you're almost like a negative if the ball comes near you, if you can't pass it. If you have to dribble
Right,
to
right.
pass it, you're in trouble. So we don't want, nobody wants that to be that kind of player. So that's where the focus is quite a bit these days with everybody.
Right. So I guess my next question is, because I know you said you jumped right after high school into coaching, right? So
Yep.
what inspired you to become a coach that quick in a U19 team?
The biggest thing is I was missing a piece, because I
Okay.
played every year since I could. I played fall and spring. And I played the fall, but that was our high school. And in the spring, we're all graduating. So they didn't create a team. And I was like, man, it's weird not playing soccer. And a lot of guys were like, yeah, man, it's nice. And then I was like, man, I feel like I'm missing something.
Okay.
So that's kind of where it started. And then I realized, man, this is really rewarding to watch these kids struggle. They're struggling here, and all of a sudden they're progressing, and they're getting better, and they're getting better, and they're getting better, and all of a sudden they're here. And just to be a part of helping that, um, it's very rewarding for me to see kids be successful. And even especially, like, I will say that, especially over in the Benzie area. Benzie is very small. It's a very small school. Um, so to see some of these kids be successful, it's just great. It's fantastic.
Right, right. So are you, because you started coaching high school, are you still coaching high school, or have you
Yep.
moved on from there to a
Yep.
club or?
No. So yeah, I'm still at high school. Um, and what I like to do is slowly create a club, um, that these kids are playing year round. Because right now, the soccer players that I get on my teams, they don't play year round. They play when it's time. So if it's fall for boys soccer, that's when they play. They don't touch the ball unless we do open. Yeah, unless we do
Okay.
opens, which I try to do as much as I can. Um, and I have another coach that coaches with me. He coaches the middle schools and stuff. So, um, but I mean, I want to create a club over here, and I
Right,
want to have
right.
an opportunity for these kids to play. We had a gentleman by the name of Kevin Hubble who played club in Traverse City, which is about 40-minute drive, and Traverse City is a bigger area. And he did really, really well. And his senior year, he did really, really well playing for me. And honestly, I had nothing to do with that. It was just this kid being fabulous. And it opened up my eyes and saying, and seeing what I've seen so far this my first spring coaching these girls, were like, we got to get players that play year round. Um, my daughter plays year round, which has actually probably set her up pretty good to be successful in the goal. But without that, though, I mean, yeah, we try to find athletes, And I don't want to be in the position every year where I'm like, oh, if you're not an athlete, we're going to struggle. I want to have players that want to play, who
Right, of
love the
course. Yeah.
game, and just and other coaches can be, a part of their development as well.
Right, right. So how come there's no like a lot of clubs near you? Is it because it's a small town that
Yeah,
they
I
still
mean,
haven't?
it's a small town for sure, and that town has been very focused on football and basketball, which a lot of
Oh,
American
okay.
towns are. And there's nothing wrong with that by any means. So they've had some really good coaches too that coach their high school programs, but they've never been able to develop a club team. And um, I just think that they're just not as stubborn as I am. So, it's somewhat one way or another, we're going to create a club team. I don't know how it's going to happen, but we're going to do it. So
So how would you go into that? Starting a club kind of
how
by
would I
like by
go
your
into it?
yeah, because you ever
Um,
thought about that? Like how
no,
would
I
you
no, I have. It's actually been on my research quite a bit recently of like, all right, what's the best route? Because what you want to do is you want to make sure you have everything lined up when you present it to these parents.
hmm
If you have anything that seems a little funny or anything that's not a great or like a solid answer, these parents are going to dip just because I don't know about that. And
right,
so we
right.
have to like, so there's been a lot of research. Kind of search out to try to talk to other coaches in the area, and there's not a lot of teams they play. There's a little soccer club that is about 30 minutes away from the Benzie area, and then there's Traverse City, which is 45 minutes away. And Traverse City North Storm, they're fantastic. They've been a part of the Traverse City. I mean, probably 40 years. A lot. They came up
hmm
like Petoskey did. They grew big, but they play Premier and they play State Cup, and some of the players who want to play year round maybe would not make that team. So what I like to do is kind of swoop into that middle area and hit
Okay.
some players up. So, but that's the main reason why I don't do it is because nobody. I mean, I get it. Parents have a busy lives, trying
hmm
to make it work, and if they got to drive 40 minutes just for practice,
Right,
45
right.
minutes just for practice, not even talking about games and going anywhere. Um, so I mean, I'm not I'm not well off,
Mhm.
financially with a family. I mean, I have a family, so I'm sure you understand that. So I'm
Yeah.
not so I'm thinking about that when I'm creating this program is like, how can we benefit the people like me who want their kids to be successful and play, but maybe can't afford the 1,200, 15, 18, $2,000
Right,
price
right.
tag. So that's kind of where we're at. So there's a lot of research still to go, but um, I feel like we have a lot of positive going into that. So
Right. And if I don't know, for some reason soccer is so expensive. Even like the club that I coach in, we try to keep the prices low, but they still, you still got the league, the uniform, any tournaments we want to do. Like you say, if you want to drive, it's still gas. So I don't know. I don't understand why. And I wish we could keep it, low, minimal, but
yeah, no, it's definitely hard. It's definitely a hard one. Luckily, the club at Leelanau, where my daughter plays in, they have like a scholarship. So when you get
okay.
a couple of players or the families are really struggling, like about 6 7 months ago, I lost my job and I was like,
Okay.
well, Hannah's not gonna be able to play, and no, they stepped up and said, no, 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 that's not gonna be the reason why Hannah can't play. So we're very thankful for that kind of stuff. So but yeah, there's people out there that just want kids to play too, and which is
Oh, of
really
course.
nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think all parents, want to see their kids big successful, and soccer's picking up right now. So a lot of, so I know you said you lost your job. As a coach, that kind of affects you as well, right?
Yeah.
How do you stay motivated and inspired to keep going, not just give up?
Because what would I teach the kids if I just gave up?
Okay,
I mean, honestly, the kids, the bottom line, that's kind of where it goes. Like, all right, so this didn't work out the way it was supposed to for me. It shouldn't affect anything I'm doing with these kids. I'm still sitting here and let's go to work. Let's do this. Let's do a workout. Let's talk soccer. If if this program or any program in the whole country wants to be successful, you can't do it with 50% effort.
right,
It's got to
right,
be 100%. There's no Oh, you know what? It's January. It's wintertime. I don't want to do anything. Well, guess what? When spring comes around, you're not going to have those players that were on the fence at that.
Oh
So,
yeah, of course, yeah.
so yeah.
So you say you're coaching the girls high school, right?
Yep.
How's
Yep.
that going out for you?
It's going. We're kind of getting, we're kind of getting knocked out here and there.
Okay.
um, but again, this is that interest level for the team. I think we've played one game that we've had 11 players, and that's it.
Wow.
Everything else has been low on numbers, either due to eligibility or injuries. We haven't had a lot of interest in players to play. Um, and that's something that we're going to try to work on. And I knew I'd struggle my first year because of, I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. Is somebody's like, oh, you got a new coach. I don't want to jump in. But the side effect where that kind of stinks is I coached the same school, just the boys team.
Okay.
So you would think that connection would be a little easier, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's teaching these younger, the freshmen, sophomore, juniors that it's okay, and we know we're going to get back to that point where we're going to look back at this year and say, man, that was a rough year, but look where we're at now. And that's that progression again, and seeing these kids be successful. Um, and yeah, I feel bad for the seniors because they're kind of, they're in a very tough year for their last year playing. But I mean, everybody on this team just, I mean, they tighten the boots up and go to work. Like they don't, they don't, they don't complain too much. I mean, they do a little because it's a lot of running out there. Especially, we see teams that they don't play down because they don't have to. It's a varsity sport. No,
Right,
it's
right.
fine. You don't have to play down. Like it's fine. Um, but the kids kind of look at it sometimes like that sucks that they're not. Like it does, but if they're beating you 2-0 and they have two more players than you, what does that say about that team?
Yeah. Mhm.
Like honestly, like they should be smoking us. So yeah, they're getting there. It's just it's a work in progress, that's for sure.
Of course, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think like you mentioned before, playing chess and it's a
Yeah,
bigger thing than just winning.
yeah, yeah.
So I guess it goes back to my question before. I know you're having a hard time with your program. How do you keep your players motivated as well? It's like during these hard times that you're going through,
Hmm.
as a coach, because I know myself, I get little doubts in myself. That am I even that good of a coach? I don't know if that happens to you. How do you
Oh yeah.
get your players motivated?
Yeah, it's really easy to get like I'll start with the coaching aspect there that you brought that up. It's really easy to kind of get in your car after a game and let's say we just got smoked, right? It's
Hmm.
easy to sit there and be like, what am I doing wrong? It's got to be me. It's got to be me. What am I doing wrong? What can I do? Which those are all good motivators to have, like because
Hmm.
you're checking yourself, you're humbling yourself. Like, all right, you're not the best in the world, obviously, and that's okay. But what can you do better for these girls? And then it usually takes a car ride home, which we live 30 minutes from the school anyway. So it's
Okay.
usually a good drive, and that's the good mental, like, all right, first 15 minutes, you jam out the music, right? the last 15 minutes, it's like, all right, let's focus. What can we do better? And I think the motivation for the girls are the small victories. Sometimes it's not about winning and losing because those will come in time, but it's about the small victories. Like um, we lost to one of our local teams, 10-2 in the beginning of the year. All
Okay.
right,
Mhm.
that sucked. But hey, we played them on Monday, and at one point we were beating them by 2 goals.
Wow. Okay.
They had full roster, of course, and I mean they had probably like 23 on their team. A little jealous, I ain't gonna lie. And fatigue caught up to us, and we gave up a couple extra goals in the second half. We ended up losing that game, but at the halftime, if it was only a 40-minute game, we would have walked out of there with a victory. And those are things that was the first time. So that was 11 games into our year. That was the first time we led during a game, and
Okay.
on top of it, first time we were led by 2 goals.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
those are the things that we use in motivation. Um, we used to, like in the beginning of the year, it's easy to say, well, we got a freshman goalie, so those mistakes are going to happen. By now, though, I mean, my goalie's got 701 minutes that she has racked up playing. You're not a freshman anymore at this point,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are the motivations that she uses too. And um, And all of these players use like, okay, hey, this is where we were at like a month ago. Now look where we're at. Look what we're doing on the field. Look how we're playing. Like we're making progress. This program's going in the right direction. And it's easy to get down on yourselves,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it
but
is. Yeah.
I think it's really really hard for these girls to even think about quitting because how hard
Okay.
they play. So
So do you ever show them like films, like from the first game, you said you lost 10-2 and now you were winning 2-0, you know, do you ever show them like uh a film, like, hey, this is how
mhm.
far we've come or
Right. We don't have our soccer field doesn't have the capability of cameras,
okay.
just because our program is so small. So we don't have that. So we get when we go to teams like we go to Manistee tomorrow night and they play on a football field. When they
Oh,
play on
okay.
football fields, they usually have some sort of cameras on it. So it's not always I can do that, but there's a handful of times where I can kind of pull that up. Um, so I'm hoping that we see some good stuff tomorrow night, and I
Right.
can kind of compare a little bit of, you know, beginning of the year versus now. So hopefully,
Right. What's your coaching philosophy on or your approach to developing these players, because I know you're having like go back to the same thing, a little bit of hard time. It's a new program you're starting out. So how do you approach that? What's your philosophy on developing these players?
I mean, it's it's a late great Kobe Bryant. It's the Mamba mode. It's Mamba mentality. It's all right. What did you do today? I don't care about your talents. I don't care if you're not good. I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care if you're the best one in the world. But did you work your butt off today? And
Okay.
if so, did you outwork the person next to you? Did you outwork yourself yesterday? So that is the constant talk everyone hears constantly. Like, I mean, if you're, if you're the best player ever in the world, I almost don't want you. And I mean that because sometimes there's just so much frustration with other players that may not be on that level because like how are you not at this level? I'm the same age, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
we're from the same area. That's not how it works. um Everyone is motivated differently, and I just try to get everybody to understand like, hey, just work your butt off so at night when you go and brush your teeth before you go to bed, you can look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I worked my butt off today, and tomorrow I'm gonna work harder. So that is the thought process for boys and girls that I they and I do that with everything. If I train somebody one on one, we talk about that. If I train a group, we talk about it. If I work with a team, we talk about it. I mean, I, poor kids because they hear it in my house all the time. Like, hey, were you better today than you were yesterday? Like, so it's we were huge Kobe fans and we still very much are. Um, and we take his philosophy very serious. So,
Right. No, and I agree with you, what I told my kids, it's like you don't have to be better. All you have to do, you don't have to be, it's 1% better than you were yesterday. Just
yep,
1%
absolutely.
better, you know, and that makes a big difference overall.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because they don't feel like they have to take mountain steps. They can take baby steps from where they were yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yep, yep.
absolutely, absolutely.
So you say you coach like one on one, right?
Yep.
How do you do about that as well? Because it seems like you have your high school and then you do one on one. How do you manage all this?
Well, usually that's the summertime. Usually it's um, the spring seasons are over for rec and club and high school, and it's people just in the summer that want to put in the work and want to do better. And
Okay. So
it's that sort of thing.
is it the same
Yeah.
players you're coaching right now for your high school?
Yes, most of the time because
Okay.
of us just trying to get this word out a little bit because this is kind of a newer news program. When I was in Petoskey, I did this. When I coached in Traverse City for a little while. I also
Mhm.
did this with some of the players that I played. I always told the parents like, "Hey, they have a big tryout in the fall. Let me help you get them ready for that tryout." And some of the parents, were like, "No, no, they're good," and some of them were like, "Yeah, yeah, let's try it. Why not?"
Right.
Um, I don't charge your arm and leg, and I at the end of the day, like, I mean, I would honestly, if I could afford it, I'd just do it for free. if I could.
Right, right.
100%. I just want everyone to have an opportunity to be successful at that level. So
Oh yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. So I guess my next question is, how'd you get so passionate about it, about training the players and helping them out? Because you just said yourself, if I could, I would do it for free.
yeah,
How'd you get to that passion for you?
I think bad experiences with the sport. I know that sounds weird to be passionate about it, but I think I didn't have the best coaches growing up. I didn't have the worst coaches. There was times where my coach was pretty good. There was times where not so much. And I just look at it like I can remember asking one of my coaches how I can do something get better, and he literally looked at me and he said, "I don't know, just kick it around or something." I'm like, what? So, and then back then we didn't have what these kids have now. There's no like, what is it called, a tracer where they put it on their shoe now. They didn't have
Oh,
the ball for training. We didn't have YouTube where we can click on videos and learn how to dribble and all that
yeah,
stuff. So we didn't. There was no learn. It was learning at home was literally just grabbing a ball and touching it. And um, so I think I just want to be that person that even the lowest talented person that wants to play soccer, I want to give them an opportunity to be successful. So that's probably why it is. I guess I'm giving back.
okay.
And I was in a situation where I wanted a coach to be like, "Hey, let's do this to help you," and it never was the thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with, same thing when 35. So when I was growing up into soccer, there was a little bit of internet, but not as much YouTube. I remember going on internet and looking up like, freestyle soccer or doing tricks. So I remember that, yeah. For defense, you just kick the ball forward.
Yep.
Not even that. I don't know if you did that or
Yeah.
not.
Boom ball. That's boom ball soccer, man.
Okay, yeah. They
Yeah.
so they had the forward, they would call it cherry picking. But hey,
Yep.
just cherry pick.
Yeah. That's yeah. No, I all about that. We used to play rec league that was small, and that's how it was. And let's kick it up to them. We'll score a goal. Like
Yeah, yeah, to a fast guy, and then
yep.
the slower guys from the back. Yeah, yeah, that's how it was for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you always see yourself being a coach, a soccer coach?
Yeah. I think so. I think once I understood the game, I saw it. I wasn't the most talented player, but I saw the game differently. Um, I mean, I could throw like scenarios in my head while the play was going on, and think of this play and that play, that play and that play. But maybe not always being able to like myself perform that. But
Okay,
I mean, it's there. It's like, man, I just wish I could figure out how to get to that point. So when I started coaching, and every player is so different, and when you can discuss things with them, I think you realize like, oh man. So that's kind of the excitement. But yeah, I've always looked at the game a little different. It seemed at times it seemed less confusing for me,
okay. Hmm.
um, than other players. But again, I unfortunately just didn't have the talent to be able to,
Keep
you know,
going.
yeah, exactly.
Right, right. No, I completely understand as well. You know, so how do you because I don't know, I think you mentioned that you have your license, right?
Yep.
How'd you go into that? Are you gonna keep going with that?
So I got my E license when I was coaching back in Petoskey. It was a free course. They came up and said the PYSA, which is Petoskey Youth Soccer Association, said I'll pay for it. Well, yeah, sure, let's go.
Right,
And then
right.
and then I saw an opportunity to get my D license, and I was like, yeah. I mean, it cost myself money, but that's okay. The C is a little bit more expensive.
Hmm.
When you have a family and sometimes money's a little tight, it's a little
Hey,
different.
yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
It's hard for me to be selfish and take. I think it's like $1,500 to go get it, but
Hmm.
I absolutely would do it in a heartbeat. Like grassroots is now out there. That's kind of I guess within the last 15 years is kind of newer. I got all the free classes. Of course, you nail those as fast as you can. Um, but the grassroots is great because they have classes that are only like $25. So you're able to
Yeah.
just like, even if you're like, I can't really afford a lot, but maybe I could take 25 out of each paycheck. Boom, got one. I got one class. I'm gonna get that done next paycheck, or maybe a month later, I'm gonna get another one. So there's there's lots of opportunity. I would love for me to have my national license, my national A license for sure. So I'm hoping that throughout time I'm able to get there. So
Right, right. Yeah, like we mentioned before, soccer for some reason is so expensive. Even a coaching license is expensive.
yeah, it is. Um, it 100% is. But again, it's worth it. And there's a lot of things that I see other coaches in this area, or even back at home of Visosky, that like, why are they doing it that way? And it's not a criticism, but it's a question. Why are you doing it that way? And I'm like, I don't know. I've just always done it that way. So it's sometimes you see coaches that don't have the experience because they don't have the knowledge, and or even the simplest thing of running a session, but having your progressions in that session. And let's say you ran a 90-minute practice and you had 4 or 5 different drills in that. Do they all make sense together? Do they all come back around? That sort of a thing. So that's the other like mentor thing that I would love to work with some of these younger coaches that maybe just need a little advice here and there. I never had that when I started. It was just like, oh, you want to coach? Cool. Like, so we kind of figured that out on our own. So I always tell everybody, I was like, well, I got the knowledge of hard knocks because there's many games I got, many seasons we got kind of worked, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? And then I'd watch something and be like, that's what I'm doing wrong. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of difficult. I myself have 3 kids, so I understand, you can't just go out there and pay 1,800 when you have your own kids. So
Yep.
especially when the money's kind of tight, like you say. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like,
Yeah.
do I feed my kids or do I go for a license, you know?
Yeah. But you ate once today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my 1.5-year-old probably eats more than anybody in the whole house. So
I saw
go
my
figure.
my my because I have 2 daughters. One's 3, one's 2. One's 3, one's 1. My youngest one, she'll eat more than the 3-year-old. She'll like anything she'll eat. The other one, she's like, no, I don't want it, Dad.
Yeah, that's how my son is. He's the only boy out of, we have 4 kids, 3 girls. This is the last one. He's the boy. And that kid will just eat anything. Like, oh, you're not gonna eat that? All right, I'll take it. Like come on, man. Like it's your sister's food. So, but yeah, I get that. So,
As you keep coaching and developing your players, what do you hope your players will take from their experience playing with from you or for you?
I hope they take the drive and the passion and the working hard. At the end of the
Right.
day, I mean, if you can teach one kid out of 18 each season, okay, I haven't had 18 players one season, but that is the idea. If I can teach, okay, let's be reasonable here. If I can teach one kid out of 14 um, to take that mentality of like, when I get out of high school, I'm going to work my butt off and do this, this, and this. I think I win, and that's the idea. And I don't expect everyone to live soccer. I don't expect people to be as passionate as me, and that's fine. That's okay. Everyone's going to have their own passion. But when you are passionate about something, don't just don't be 50%, man. Be 100% and take it to that next level. And if things are in your way, figure out how you can go through them.
Right,
It's
right.
an old quote that I tell I say old quote. It's not even that old of it's an old movie now, but it blows my mind when I talk about how old this is. But and I tell everybody when we're struggling, it's from Friday Night Lights. Um, when they're in the championship game, it's the movie, not the series.
Mhm.
And I think his name is Booby Miles. He's hurt, right? And he says, and the other guy, his backup, keeps on fumbling the ball. And he said, "Don't fight it, roll with it." So I tell the kids that all the time, like, stop fighting it, just roll with it. That's what we got to deal with. Let's go to the next thing. Let's go to the next thing. And one of the guys I'm coaching with always says, "It's the process. It's the process." Like, all right, so that play happened. Okay, cool. What did you learn from it? Now let's move forward. So it's not just they're hearing that from me; they're hearing that from another coach, which is fantastic. So
Right. I understand, and I'll add a little bit to it. The impact we have, not just as a player, but as in the human side as well, person side. It's a big impact we have as coaches to influence the life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's very rewarding, that's for sure.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yep, yep,
like
yep.
when you run into a player from 15 years ago and they still call you coach, like that's respect, man. That's 100% respect.
Oh, man, I'm assuming it's a great feeling as well. They still have that respect for you.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Has any of your players coached, uh, kept coaching either against you or with you?
Nope, not yet. No, not really. My brother, after I coached him, and we're 4 years apart, he tried to coach, but he realized that being a dad is probably a whole lot easier than being a coach. I mean, it's a different kind of game when you're coaching. You deal with all these, these boys and girls, and they're all personalities, and they're very different. But he's the only one that kind of tried to coach, and he just realized, like, I'd just rather, play or coach my kids, or I mean, coach my kids on the sideline, and at home. And but other than that, I haven't ran into anybody that got into coaching. So I'm hoping that that becomes a thing in the future for sure, because I would love to see some of these players become coaches. So
Looking ahead, what do you believe is the biggest opportunity and challenges facing the soccer coaches face in the future
coaches in general, or myself?
in general?
Okay. I think the social media game, to be honest with you, I think we're in a world that's very scary to be a coach, because you got to be really smart when you talk to these kids, boy or girl. The very where you could, you could pull one kid apart from the team and you could walk with them. That used to be a very simple thing where there was no fear there, but now it's you better have a buddy system, and that's not nothing against who you're coaching right now, but you got to be smart. The perception of things can get twisted more than it should, and you have to constantly think about how you word things. Um, and there's times where it's sometimes you're just in the moment, you don't think about that. I'm very old school. I'm not scared to tell you how I feel. I do it with a respect, but I still am not afraid to tell you, like, hey, like, let's get going. And I'm harder probably on my daughter. No, not probably. Guarantee I'm harder on her than I am on anybody. And some of the players will even comment like, "Oh man, I'm glad that's not my dad." And she always says, "No, no, no. That's how we work. Like I'm not
Mhm.
mad at him for saying that. He's being very honest with me, getting me to understand like, hey, I missed that ball. It's like, and I should have been in this spot and I wasn't thinking about it." So, I mean, in general, going forward, I think it's a scary world, but I think we're all adjusting. At least the majority of us are adjusting pretty well with it. So
Right, right. And I'll add to I'll coach my son as well. So yeah, you how do you say, you're extra harder on them than you are on the other players, just because they're your kid, I guess.
yep, yeah. There's even times I got to pull back and I'm like, yo, just stop for a minute. You got to think she's a player too, not just your kid. So there's some times where I gotta like sit back and, but for the most part, yeah, she kind of gets the harder version of me for sure.
Oh yeah. Do you enjoy coaching your daughter though?
Yeah, it was ultimately a dream when I started coaching and I had kids. Was I want to coach my kids when they get to varsity level,
Okay.
and there just happened to be a job open at the same time she was going to be a freshman, and at the
Wow.
school that we're all at, and I was like, name
I gotta take it.
application, let's
Yep.
go, let's. And it worked out where he decided to hire me, which is fantastic, and it's been a joy more than I can probably be honest about, because there's many moments like Monday, she did so stinking well. She had 32 saves in the game. Um, I walked up behind her and I gave like a headlock style hug to her. And I said, "I'm so stinking proud of you. You have no idea." And I was choking up and she could pick that up. So I had to like quickly walk away from her. Like, no, I ain't doing that. But, and it's one thing I tell her all the time is like, if you let 100 goals in, I don't care. Like at the end of the day, I love you and I'm proud of everything you're putting work in. And sometimes that little bit of confidence to kids is skyrocketing
Oh,
because then they
absolutely.
feel like it don't matter what they do out there. They don't matter
Hmm.
if they let in 15 goals or they miss 15 goal opportunities because they're going to come home to a house that's not going to be like, well, how come you sucked? No, it's going to be like, all right, well, what did we do wrong? All right, well, you look at all the things you did right in that game.
Right.
So it's kind of that scenario.
No, I agree completely. Like I said, I coach my son. He's only 9. So when he first started, he was like scared of the ball. He wouldn't come in. After a little bit, now he's going into a ball, and he told me like, "Hey, hey, Dad, Papi, I'm getting closer to a goal." I told him like, I'm proud of you for doing that. At first you were
Yeah.
scared, you were running away. So it's a big moment. Even that little, like you said, small victories.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, that's awesome. And they just that little protection from the parents. I think it just gives those kids that little confidence that they're like, you know what, it's okay if I screw up here because
Mm-hmm.
my mom and my dad are gonna love me. Like, let's just go and
Yep,
see what happens. And
it
I
is.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it's been tremendous. So
yeah, yeah. It's just for me. I love coaching my kids, so it's
yeah.
just wonderful feeling. What advice would you give somebody that's starting to pursue a coaching career? Because I know you say you want to help.
Mm-hmm. Patience.
Okay.
Patience is number one. Like understand patience, understanding, and um, find a way to express your feelings or a drill in 3 different ways. And what I mean by that is if I'm explaining a drill to you, to somebody else, and somebody else, there's 3 of us on the field, right? You may understand it where the other 2 may not. I might be able to say it really, really fast, and you say, I got it, coach, we're good.
Hmm.
The other 2 may have no idea. So having patience in that moment of explaining a drill extra long, and also explain the drills to the players, why you're doing this, take them in a game situation. So if I have a simple passing drill, say, okay, this player would be like our forward, this player would be our midfield, this player would be our defense, and this is why we're passing the way, because I think that translates to games where they think, hey, I remember passing like this, coach said we were practicing, now we are in a game, I am passing to the forward. So patience is number one by far. Always have patience, because there's times where you don't wanna you just in that moment you're like, I had a rough day at work or I had a rough day at home, and you go to practice and you want to bring that attitude that you had a bad day, and you as soon as you get on that field, that's gone, the attitude's gone.
Hmm.
Nope, now it's focused here. So patience is number one. Understanding that everyone learns differently and plays differently and has different kind of effort, and then just honestly just teaching, make them, I would say, how I'm trying to word this correctly, have them explain the drill to you,
Okay.
because if they can explain the drill to you, they know it. Like
Okay.
always the biggest thing for me, if I can have one of my players coach another player, then I know that you definitely know that scheme without a doubt.
Okay.
So
I never thought about that, having them explain it to you. So I'm
mm-hmm.
gonna try that for my own team, see if that works.
That's awesome.
I'm at the library, so that's why
That's
yeah, yeah, yeah. Lady was going by, that she was gonna come in. So I'm actually gonna start wrapping it up because,
okay.
like I said, I'm at the library. They're gonna close soon. I don't want to get locked in here.
No, that's no fun.
So, I guess my next question is for what's next for you?
So the next thing is we got a game tomorrow night, so we're just going to grind with the games and get going. We have this thing called a Husky Club that we created, and what that is a kindergarten through 8th grade, boys and girls. Every Friday at 5 o'clock, we meet at the high school field and we do training for an hour and a half. Um, and then I have my varsity groups there, boys and girls, and they work with little kids. Little kids get a kick out of it that the varsity players are there. And then we're gonna build a brand over here. We're gonna start really pushing on those trainings out, those 1v1 and 5v5s, and whatever it may be. I mean, I'll train 10 people, I don't care. Like, I just want to help people. And then we're going to create a club that comes from the Benzie area, and hopefully in 10-15 years I'm talking to people about, this is the club that we created 15 years ago, and look where we're at, and we're
Right.
successful. And we're having players consistently play year round and loving the game as well. So,
That's very cool. I like that club, the Husky Club, I think you said,
yep,
with the high school kids coaching the younger kids, right?
yep, yep.
That I like that idea. That's really amazing idea
I
you're doing there. It sounds
appreciate that.
really cool what you're trying to do. You're building your own club there. Hopefully it works out for you. Um, we're here for you, help us to help you out, whatever you need. Okay. And well, towards the end, I'll give you a chance to like do a plugin, like
Okay.
social media, whatever. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I mean, I don't have anything fancy on Facebook, so I mean, I'm sure you'll just share my stuff, share my name. You know, it's just Chris Batchelder and on Facebook. Just find me there. I'm creating pages to help with the training and all that stuff. And when that's, I'll have myself, I'll have my original Facebook kind of share that stuff, and maybe you can help me kind of throw that out there when I have that created. I don't want to, I don't want to throw anything out 50%. Like, who am I as a person telling you how much I want these kids to do 100% effort if I'm throwing 50% effort? So that's in a progress of, it's progress of making that perfect. Um,
right.
and then when that's out there. But yeah, I mean, anybody can contact me on my Facebook, and we can talk soccer. And then on top of it, like if coaches need advice or they want help with anything, I'd love to help them as well. So I have
Okay.
no problem with anything. I can talk soccer all day, man.
It's always a good day to talk about soccer, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so we'll put your Facebook in the show notes and then, go from there.
Awesome.
Okay, so my last question is, you're at the World Cup final, okay? Who would you trust to take a penalty kick last minute at the World Cup final from your team
Uh,
right now?
from my team right now,
From your team right now.
from my team right now, you want me to plug one of my girls, don't you? Well, and she's would I would throw her. Did I lose you?
Yeah, for a little bit.
All right. I guess out on the deck, it eventually died on me, huh?
Oh, okay. Do you have your camera on? Because I don't see you no more.
Well, let's see. I thought I did. Where would that be at?
I think at the bottom.
Okay. It says stop video.
No, not that one.
Show my daughter out here. She'll be showing me how to do this. Like, Dad, no, this is how you do it, you idiot. Like, oh, yeah, I knew that. All right, let's see. What's this? All right, you got me now or no?
Nope, I hear you, but I don't see you.
Weird. Yeah, it's showing like it's recording on there. I wonder why it's not. They even have the green light on there.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's odd.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hold on, because I see you now.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me now too?
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
it's like a small screen though, so I don't know. I don't know if it's my side over here.
Hmm. They're trying to kick you out of the library.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of new to this too as well, to Zoom and everything, so I don't know
No,
what's
it's all
going
good.
on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where else I would click on there. So hmm.
I don't know. I guess we'll just go like this. I guess we'll
All
just
right.
finish it up like this.
That sounds good. All right. You hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, I
We're all
can hear
good?
you. Doesn't
Okay.
matter. Yeah.
So your question was like one of my current players, if I put her in a World Cup and take a PK,
Yep, last
um,
minute.
yeah, it would be Cadence Prupur. She's a junior. Last year she scored 16 goals, which I believe. Don't quote me on this, but I believe that's a school record for the year. No, actually, not for the year. No, she had a school record of 4 goals in a game. Well, she topped her own record this past Monday when she had 6 goals in a game. Um,
Okay.
the girl is pretty good with her foot, so she unfortunately is injured. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, she got a nasty bruise on Wednesday. So hopefully she'll be all right for districts. But yeah, she definitely is a she's one that I would have in that spot. She handles
Okay.
pressure well. She can shoot. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Who would you not trust?
Oh man, I don't know. Yeah, that one's a hard one for me because I don't know if I can not I don't know if I can dog any of my players like that. I think I think if I put my daughter in that position, she'd get mad at me. She'd be like, "You got to be kidding me, right?" Like, yeah, let's do it. And then she would miss, and if she missed, she would be like, "I told you, Dad. Why did you put me in that spot?" But I don't know. I mean, all of them are they're pretty confident with what they do. I think they would all tell me that they all can make it. So, which I like. So
Yeah, yeah. The trust is what counts, right? As long as they're confident in it.
yeah, that's right.
Well, I think that'll be it. That's all the questions I got. All right. Thank you for coming on here.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And that was it from the field, Voices of Football with Coach Chris. Thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you again.